Today we're going to talk about how God's food actually affects our taste buds. Being a Christian and reading through scripture and kind of being someone who's played in the NFL and played all sorts of sports and does CrossFit and Spartan races and all these things, I'm constantly pointing out verses about food and nutrition in the scriptures. And what I see is a direct contrast between what God says about nutrition and what the world says about nutrition. So what I want to do today is bifurcate what God says about food and what the world says about food, and how God actually does care about the way things taste and the way it nurtures our body. And the world cares about things like economics and consumerism when it comes to food. So let me bifurcate that for you. So I've got 4 points about how God actually does care about our taste buds. The first one is God does care about taste. Now, I know what you're thinking. The world cares about taste too, and they do in a way, and I'll get to that. But God really cares about taste because mainly God is the author of not just food, but our taste buds. Now, think about this. If God created taste, if he created the tongue with all of the sensors to be able to enjoy every different aroma, then why wouldn't God also care about the way food tastes on those taste buds? And he does. So check out this verse, Revelation 19:9. Blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true words of God. Now you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with the taste buds? Here's the thing. At the end of days, God's people will sit at a giant table with him and enjoy a meal, and it will be the marriage supper. That's what they call it. And what this is God, the groom, coming together with the bride, the church, and enjoying one another forever in holy union. And that's what we do. We mirror in our marriages with the husband and the wife. And so what do we do at our marriages? What's one of the biggest, most important things we do when we marry here on planet Earth? Well, we enjoy a massive, delicious meal together. I had prime rib. Hopefully you had some sort of meat, but we enjoy a delicious piece of food, vegetable, fruit, and some drink. That's what we do. We enjoy that. Now, God is preparing this meal. And so God is probably going to have some really, really delicious foods on that table. And so I say all that to say that God absolutely cares about how food tastes because God is the author of taste and he's going to prepare this delicious meal for us. My second point is that God has a food goal other than just taste, and that's nutrition. You see, nutrition matters to God, and I think marketing has gotten a hold of this here on Earth, and we've infiltrated it, and it's all about making money and kind of deceiving people so that they'll eat something they think is healthy. But God's food, original food, was all about nutrition, getting the right proper balance of vitamins and minerals, and getting the right supplementation in your body. That's all what God's food is about. And so when you eat a piece of grass-fed steak, you're going to get high amounts of good, healthy omega-3 fatty acids. And when you eat a good, delicious egg that's from a chicken that's raised properly, the way God intended them to be raised, you're going to get higher amounts of vitamin K2 and all sorts of other good things, good high fats and good quality fats. And so we need to be thinking about the way we ingest our food, because the way we ingest our food and the sources it comes from matter to God, because it's going to make us feel better, and that's important. Okay, we've looked at 2 of God's priorities when it comes to food, but what about ours here? Let's just take us in the United States as a big example. So what's 2 of our food goals? Well, the first one here is tip 3, and that's our typical food goal is convenience. Now, I think you'll agree with me on this. When you go to a grocery store and you see half of the aisles are freezer aisles, and most of those freezer aisles have things like, Hot Pockets, bagel bites, pizza rolls. Seems like lots of people like pizza in different forms, is particularly frozen ones they can just stick in the microwave. But that's typically what you'll see in a supermarket, things that are quick and easy. They say to shop around the edges of the supermarket because you're going to get majority of the fresh foods. You're going to get your produce, you're going to get your meats, and those are the places you should shop. But in those aisles in between, you'll have things like the perishable items like Pop-Tarts, Twinkies, Wheat Thins, bread that doesn't mold for weeks, Oreos, you could name it. All of these things that we readily stock our cabinets with that never go bad, that's what we have in our cabinets. And those foods are very convenient and very easy. I often find when people come to my house and they look in my pantry, they look in there or my fridge and they say, "Where's all your food?" And what I say is, we buy it and then we eat it. We don't just store food in our cabinets so we have for weeks on end to be able to eat. We buy perishable items like veggies and potatoes, and then we also buy meats like chicken, steak, lamb. We buy fish like salmon, and we eat it right away because it's fresh, and that's the way God intended us to eat it. But here in America, we're more consumed with convenience rather than the way food is supposed to make us feel and the way it's supposed to taste. My last point is that our food goal here in America is an economic food goal. Now, what that means is that our biggest concern isn't the way our food tastes, it isn't nutrition, it is how much money we can make off that food as quick as possible. So when we produce apples, when we produce carrots, when we produce corn, we'll create these things with big companies like Monsanto, and they've got some series of regulations they have to go through when making a decision whether or not the food is able to ship and sell. Here are a couple. One of them is, will it last on the ride in the truck to the store? That's one of them. And the second one is, how long will it last on the shelf before it goes bad? Did you catch that? Not any one of those tips is taste. There is no taste. Taste isn't a factor. The only factor is how long can we have it on the shelf so we have a better opportunity to sell it, and how long will it take to ship, and will the food stay intact while it gets there? So taste isn't a factor. Nutrition isn't a factor because the food is not tested for nutritional value. And so when people buy corn or buy an apple, they think they're getting certain nutrients and vitamins in that, and they're actually not if they're getting it from a mass-produced, genetically modified source. They're just not getting it. Hey, I hope this helped you guys. I'm excited about this series. Share this with your friends. Feel free to use the questions below. They could help you think through some of this further. And again, I'm going to include some resources below for you to dive into for yourselves.